I guess I've already started recording. I just like to do cold opens.
Oh,
No pressure.
You're going?
I already hit record.
So I didn't say anything controversial.
That's what editing's for, baby. Welcome to Rotten Potatoes.
I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Hey, producer, can you give me a water? Thank you.
Dasani,
Thank
please.
you. Which way am I supposed to hold
It doesn't
this?
matter. Whichever way feels good. I like it like this.
When I work with like technology, I immediately get nervous.
What do I do with my hand?
Yeah.
But I'm Diet Dr. Paul. Who are you?
I'm Dante Carter, comedian
Extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Didn't plan that.
Hey.
Didn't you hit a milestone recently?
Yeah. Last week, I posted a TikTok and it got 2.5 million views.
And I'm not asking you that to make myself look better by association at all. No.
Hey,
was that a big deal though?
Oh my God, yeah. I cracked some champagne.
Did you?
Well, some bourbon.
I mean, I would have to.
Yeah. Hey, it was awesome. I literally the moment when I hit 1 million, I'd never done that before.
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching it on TikTok because it was going like crazy. I was getting 100,000 views. Like they were
I'm
racking
sure
up.
once it just like gets in locked into the algorithm, it can go.
It did. It really did. And I was sitting there. I was like, it's about to break 1 million. I even texted you. I was like, dude, I think I'm about to break 1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And so I turned my screen record on. So I've got the moment it hit 1 million. Like I update it and it goes.
Send me that video and I'll put it in here.
Okay, cool.
So I have something to show on the screen.
Hell yeah.
Because we're ugly as. Just kidding.
We are.
Just kidding.
You serious?
But
my Cabela's.
Today we bring you a very special episode of an instant reaction. And what did we watch?
We watched this movie called Unfrosted. A little indie film. Couple of up and coming guys in it.
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Ring a bell.
Jim Gaffigan, you may have heard of him. I don't know.
Up until we started to watch the film, I had told someone, like, I'm going to go watch this Seinfeld thing. That's how I kept thinking of it. Like, I thought it was going to be like a Seinfeld retrospective or something along those lines. But that's not exactly what it was.
Yeah.
This was a biopic on Pop-Tarts.
Almost like a mockumentary.
Yes, it's sort of like This Is Spinal Tap, but for the Pop-Tart. But I still feel like there's some truth to what happened in the movie. Did you know much about it going into seeing it? This was not the first time you'd seen it. This is the first time I've seen it.
Yeah, I watched it like 2 or 3 weeks. I watched it when it came out on Netflix, and I text Paul and was like, Diet Dr. Paul. I text him because I got his number because we're like, and we're like, I text him.
Oil and water, baby.
I say, hey, you should watch this movie and we can do a little this on it. And of
course, it took 3 weeks for me to be able to do it because I'm stupid.
But this was my second. I was like, I'll watch it back with you. That way we get the full effect.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I watched it, you watch something, but you might be texting or like it's just on. You kind of catch like, oh, you miss small things.
Mm-hmm.
So watching it back, I caught some of the small things that I missed the first time.
Did that change the way your sort of opinion about the movie?
I think so. It was a little bit funnier the second time around, which is kind of weird in comedy. But
I think maybe expectations could be a big issue with this one because it's not your standard movie.
Right. Yeah.
It's a little more tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
But I think that's where we can get right into the good.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of its superpowers is it doesn't take itself too seriously.
Right. It almost presents itself as like overly serious, but in a completely comical way. Like it is a Pop-Tart. It's I don't even know if we didn't even talk about what it is, did we?
Well, like what Pop-Tarts are?
Yeah. No, the story, the movie is about the story of the Pop-Tart.
Run the premise. What's the movie about?
So you got Post and Kellogg. It's set in Michigan, where these two budding cereal
really
companies
shitty
are.
place.
Yeah, right. Hey, get some better water. And so they got the cereal war going, and literally they have an award show. They have an award show that
One of my favorite scenes too.
Yes, Kellogg's just wipes them clean. Kellogg's is Kellogg's, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Frosted Flakes.
yeah, I love that scene because it felt like they were making fun of like all of the award shows
Mm-hmm.
because they take themselves way too serious, and it's like it's just
Especially this one. This one's in like the 50s in like
Yeah.
a small hotel lobby somewhere.
yeah. But yeah, that's just the premise. Is both of these companies are trying to make a Pop-Tart treat. Of course, Post has what is it? What is they called? Country Squares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Country Square.
and then Kellogg's has Pop-Tart.
Well, they're the Tart Pops.
Tart Pop.
Is what
yeah.
they call them.
Yeah.
But I think that works for it. Is sort of the tongue-in-cheek matter that it has. It's very much like an SNL sketch comedy bit, and I really. It's not a perfect movie, but that really it keeps it super enjoyable. It's very lighthearted.
Yeah.
It's full of stars.
Yes. It's the what are like those? It's an ensemble cast. But
Mhm.
what are those like super serious movies like Oppenheimer that are just full of stars? It's like that for comedy. Like it's a Tarantino film for comedy.
It very much so is. You get your Bill Burr as John F. Kennedy, which is amazing.
Yeah. Oh, the cameos are incredible.
Who are some of the other ones that were in there?
You've got. I'm gonna go SNL. We'll go SNL guys.
Mhm.
There's a lot of SNL guys. So there's
Tons.
Bobby Moynihan,
Yes.
Mikey Day, Kyle Mooney.
Sheriff from what's it called? Reno 911.
Wait, what? I'm just goofing. New boot goofing. Oh!
Him and Bobby Moynihan helped steal some of
Yeah.
the show in there. There's a storyline about sea monkeys
yeah.
turning into some sort of like ravioli monster.
And that's the thing. Like it's so non-serious that there's completely different. There's subplot like Big Milk is evil.
Yeah.
and it's like the mob.
They gotta borrow sugar from the mafia, like it's
Yeah.
some sort of like cocaine deal. It's very like it goes through history in a similar way that you mentioned, like Forrest Gump. But obviously, these are not real occurrences that you see. They're sort of fit and framed for a silly movie, so you can't take it seriously.
Yeah. Serial wasn't involved in the Cuban Missile Crisis.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Snap, Crackle, and Pop weren't trying to storm Post and Kellogg like it was January 6th all over again.
And Tony the Tiger, yeah.
Oh, the Tony the Tiger played by, and I had his name earlier, and I said it.
Hugh Grant.
Tony the Tiger. As Hugh Grant is hysterical.
Then the stand-up comedians in it, like you said, Bill Burr, Sebastian Maniscalco, Jim Gaffigan, Amy Schumer. Oh my God, the guy that played Johnny Carson, and
I didn't know who he was. I'm not familiar with him, but he did a good job.
Kyle Mulligan.
Something along those
something
lines.
like that.
We looked up a bunch of them while we were watching it.
Yeah. Cedric.
Cedric the Entertainer.
Cedric's in it.
Who is he again? That's one of my favorite scenes. Is that opening scene with them in the lobby doing the award show?
Yeah.
What's her face? Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, Melissa McCarthy. Yeah. Just an incredible Cyclops from the X-Men movie.
Yes, as Jack LaLanne.
Yeah.
The dude who played Schwinn. He's in like Talladega Nights and all those movies. He's hysterical. There is truly a ton of people in this. And that might be a good spot to jump into the bad because we touched on Melissa McCarthy a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good entry point for that.
Yeah.
We talked about her. We talked about Amy Schumer, and I'm not a big fan of Amy Schumer. You said you're not a big fan of Amy Schumer.
Yeah.
But she's not likable in the movie for a reason because
Yeah.
she's supposed to kind of be a villain. Melissa McCarthy just felt really forced in this. She just, I don't know what, for whatever reason, her jokes didn't land as much.
No.
It wasn't as funny. It was a little just more like, okay, they went and found someone to play this part, but she didn't, for whatever reason, I don't know.
Yeah, she didn't connect. Like you said, Amy, I'm not usually a big Amy Schumer fan. Nothing against her. I just don't like her style.
Yeah.
But I feel like in this one, she had some lines that I kind of chuckled at. She played off of Max
Yes,
Greenfield well. And,
he really does help elevate her character
yeah.
by giving her something else to do.
Like a target.
Yes, exactly. He's her punching bag
Yeah.
throughout the film.
And he they did good together. But yeah, Melissa was just literally like, I don't know, like she had some, lines here and there. Like it wasn't like, I didn't roll my eyes when she spoke or anything.
Yes.
But it was just like, it felt very out of place. And I don't know if that was just because you got Jim and Seinfeld, Jerry Seinfeld, that you're trying to play with. It's not an easy group. It's not an easy trio to.
No,
but
and thinking about that, that does make a lot of sense. Those are two big boys, and they were clearly both of them were on their game in this.
Yeah, they did great.
So I think in looking back on it, maybe that made her not stand out as much.
I'll say she had her and John Hamm, their little back and forth was pretty good there. I liked it. She had a couple things. The Tang line was funny.
Yeah, that was the one scene where I didn't mind her as much, but it sort of devolved from there where I didn't particularly get excited when I saw her in scenes. Some people, when they popped up on screen, when Moynihan and the guy from Reno 911 pop on screen, I would visibly kind of get excited, like, oh, here we're going to see some sort of funny scene. Now, when she came on screen towards the end of the film, I kind of got like, all right, let's move on here. I'm not feeling this very much. Again, not necessarily cringy or absolutely bad, just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, it felt weird. It felt like it wasn't supposed to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Walter Cronkite, however you say his name, Walter Cronkite. I thought that he did really good. Just when he was pretty much by himself every scene.
Yeah, I can imagine that they just set the camera up and let him riff. He reminded me a lot of, and obviously Ron Burgundy from Anchorman is supposed to be making fun of him. So obviously that is gonna connect there. Were there any other negatives or anything you didn't like about it?
I don't think so. For the most part, I enjoyed it. There were a couple things that you kind of pointed out, like, oh, they could have done this. I don't know if you consider that negative, or it was just maybe we're just so full of ourselves that we can't watch something without going, oh.
I mean, I think that's part of sitting down to watch and do a video on it is to have something to talk about.
Yeah. Yes, that Seinfeld guy, he's all right, but here's what I would have done.
Yeah. The comedic genius that is me.
Yeah.
Listen up, Jerry. Who? Seinfeld?
I can just hear Seinfeld going, I was watching YouTube
the other day, and there was this video with 29 views that I saw that came out 3 years ago.
Rotten potatoes? Why would you even buy rotten potatoes in the first place? What are we doing? I love how he gets high pitched like that.
See, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this too. Is you said that you're a fan of Seinfeld. I'm not a big fan of Seinfeld. I've never really watched Seinfeld before.
Oh, really?
So I didn't have really. I've probably seen more of comedians in cars with coffee or whatever that's called.
Yeah.
Than I have seen Seinfeld.
Wow.
And it's not because I don't think he's funny. In fact, I used to go to a trivia night in college, and there was the guy that did the trivia, every time he did it, he had a category which was Seinfeld. So it's been around me, just for whatever reason, I never just watched it.
I got shows like that, I feel like. But I like Seinfeld. I didn't get into Seinfeld until I was older. Mm-hmm. It was weird. As I've gotten older, I've gotten more into 90s television.
90s television was the best, man.
Right. And that's what I grew up on, but I never paid it attention. Mm-hmm. It was just like you hear its background noise, you're not paying attention. Mm-hmm. My grandfather was very big in I don't know, pop culture, I guess. So he showed a lot of my taste in entertainment, I think, comes from him. Mm-hmm. That's why I like things that are older than me. It's like you shouldn't know that. You didn't grow up on that.
Yeah.
But I did, so it's weird.
I feel like I've done the same thing. I've started getting into things that are a little bit older than when I grew up, and I think it's just natural.
Yeah. Well, especially so doing stand up and getting into stand up, you have to. I try to watch as many as I can, mm-hmm. and I feel like you get to guys like Seinfeld, and you hear the name so much, you're like, I've got to, at least check out one or two specials.
You'd be a disservice to yourself to not at least not look the guy up.
Right, and he's done so much for comedy that it's like you gotta check it. If you want to be in comedy, you gotta check it out. Mm-hmm. And so I did, and I've always liked it. I think he's quirky, but the thing about Seinfeld is no one can do what Seinfeld does. Mm-hmm. No one can just be like, I'm gonna make fun of a cotton ball I'm gonna talk about a cotton ball for 5 to 10 minutes in my special,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna kill.
Mm-hmm. It is very much like observation comedy, and if you don't observe the world the way that Jerry Seinfeld observes, then you can't do what Jerry Seinfeld does. It was a perfect storm of a show too, because I think you talk about the other actors that were on there.
Yeah.
They all, it's like the sum of the parts is greater than the parts themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was really the linchpin there. But having not knowing a ton about him, I don't think that affected the film at all for me.
No,
In fact, I think it could have been a good thing, in fact, because I'm not worrying about Jerry Seinfeld in this film at all.
Yeah.
Which is weird to say that like it's a character, even though that's his real name.
Yeah. You do run the risk of that. Like even sometimes people when they watch like Kevin James,
Mm-hmm.
they're thinking of Doug Heffernan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's you like one of the most famous ones is probably Steve Carell. Or
Mm-hmm.
Steve Carell, however I say Carol, some people say Carol, but it's like everyone you see him, like, oh, there's Michael,
Mm-hmm.
Michael from
Michael
Office.
Scott,
Yeah. So it's like you run the risk of that. So Jerry's smart because he just made it himself. So now it's like, oh, there's Jerry Seinfeld,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, yeah, it is.
It's like
It
the
is
guys
Jerry Seinfeld.
in Workaholics kind of did the same thing. They
Yeah.
just sort of variated their last name,
Yeah.
which is kind of smart because now you're ever connected to that show, sort of.
It's. I think it's the ingenious way of doing it where you can do other things, and people will just they'll be like, okay, yeah, that's him, because they just think when they watch your show, like when you watch Jerry Seinfeld, you literally just think that's just Jerry Seinfeld,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's smart because now you can do other work and people associate that show with you forever, obviously, but it doesn't take away from your ability to be in other things. You don't get typecast. You know?
Yeah. I think time-wise, too, it wasn't overtly long. It didn't get caught up trying to play for 2 hours. It was just short and sweet.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to mention, too, now that I thought about it, is the kid actors.
Oh,
I thought the two kid actors are hysterical.
Yeah. The kind of their debut into film, and they crushed, dude.
Just the scene's nonsense. It makes no sense whatsoever. Like, no spoilers here. I wouldn't be caught dead, but I wouldn't be caught dead eating out of a freaking dumpster. So.
Yeah.
Come on, kids.
Where
were your parents?
Yeah, what are you doing? Oh, they say they're like, oh no, we come from a good home and we've already had breakfast this morning. We just come for this.
Yeah, whatever fruit pastry nothingness.
What was the Marge Post asked the girl, do you know what something like a legal term is? I can't remember what the term is now. She asked her, do you know what a legal term is? And the little girl explains word for word what the term means. Mm-hmm. And she's like, shut up, just shut up.
Those are some smart kids too, because they, to handle that dialogue, wordy dialogue, fast-paced dialogue, because it's a film shot in the 50s or 60s, so it does have that kind of like, a little bit of twang to it. So these are fast-talking kids, and they got a bright future probably ahead of them.
I would think so. I mean, they played, at least in comedy, they played well off of Jerry and Jim, Amy and Melissa, yeah. I think that's who all their scenes were with, just them, yeah.
That's the other thing too, is they're in scenes with the main cast, Jerry Seinfeld, Jim Gaffigan, so it's not like they're putting up against some of them smaller comedic talent.
Some nobodies.
Yeah.
Like me. Yeah.
So, the verdict.
Yeah, the verdict.
The verdict.
What do we think about it?
What do we think? I try not to do a lot of thinking, but sometimes it happens.
It's easier not to. Mm-hmm. You know, you can overthink.
Yeah. So I usually try to say, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate it and why?
I'd probably give it a 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling you after we watched it, I was like, it's just a fun, like, there's no specific meaning. There's no, like, secret agenda. Or it's just literally, like, here's a goofy movie.
Yeah.
You can watch it with your kids, your family. You can watch it by yourself. It might make you want cereal. I literally went out and bought a bowl of cereal after I watched it. Or not a bowl, a box. Yeah.
I want some.
Yeah. And I was like, it might make you... I've been craving Pop-Tart since then, so... I don't know. But it's just maybe big Pop-Tarts behind it.
Big Pop-Tart. That's the agenda.
Yeah.
Is it's not woke nonsense, which is good to watch a movie and not even think about that until you mention that it's not in it.
Yeah.
And it's like to be able to joke about, the Pop-Tart agenda instead of something more, just trite and overworked. Yeah. This is a movie I think that you want to watch with your friends.
And it did, like, it it had moments that did kind of poke at where we are right now, but it wasn't over the top, and you probably wouldn't, if you're not paying attention for it, you might not catch it. But it's
not
just
preachy.
Yeah, it's just like he's like, I want to send my kids to college. It's $200. You know what I mean? And just things like that are kind of like funny. And then there's always like there's stuff in history they kind of poked at. Like we're not going to send someone to the moon.
To the moon?
Yeah.
Do you really think there's a future in the moon? And she's like, nah. And she starts laughing.
Or Jim Gaffigan's like, that's almost as sane as a balloon coming out of a steering wheel in a wreck.
Yeah. That's really, I think, some of the most charming parts about it is that sort of like historical stuff. It's like I likened it to Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Because it sort of takes you through history in this not realistic but funny way to sort of line up all these elements. And okay, this is history in this universe. Once upon a time in Hollywood, very much like that. Yeah. But I absolutely agree. I was going to say 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect movie. It is exactly what it sets out to be. It's not trying to. It's not Oscar bait. It's not trying to get you to, write to your state senator to do anything. It wants you to go out and eat cereal, and that's the beauty of it.
I almost wonder because Seinfeld's a big cereal fan. I almost wonder if people like the cereal companies were like, hey man, look, we're not selling.
Let's
do something.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
I think that if that was the case, it would have been something more like Meg the Stallion or something else that I wouldn't have had to care anything about. Yeah,
they're getting the it's full of nostalgia. They're getting the nostalgia crowd. They're getting the people they want. They're getting us.
Yes.
If you said in there, if you like comedy, SNL, if you're a fan of that kind of thing, you're gonna like it. But yeah, I love older things. I love history, so the nostalgia in it was just cool. Seeing all we talked about the cars,
oh yes, yeah. There's definitely a hearkening to his background with loving cars.
Yeah,
because there are tons of just every scene is him driving. If there's possibility to have a driving scene, it's him in just a different nice car in every scene. That's really much
an incredible car.
Look in the scenes behind lining the roads. It's all these nice cars.
Seinfeld, you devil.
But what did you think? Let us know.
Give us your feedback.
But only if it's good feedback.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to hear your bad feedback.
Yeah.
We live in a bubble.
If you don't like this video, we don't want to hear it either.
No. And you can catch Dante. Where can we find you at?
You can catch me on YouTube at Dante Carter Comedy. You can catch me on TikTok, Instagram, X, Facebook, all the same name, Dante Carter Comedy. You can hear me weekly spew nonsense on a podcast with my buddy Mikey Black of Collective Insanity. That podcast is called This Fucking Guy. Sorry.
It's a little insensitive to call him black when you should call him African American.
Oh, my buddy Mikey, African American.
You're welcome, audience.
Who did not like this movie, by the way.
He did not like this movie. What do you think?
He said there wasn't enough representation for him.
Yoinks. Got him. I like that. That was a good one to end it on. We'll see you next time at the movies.
Kill